broadcasting and streaming live all across America. This is Home Talk USA with Michael King, where we will discuss topics pertaining to your home with industry-leading experts. Michael King is a licensed general contractor with more than 30 years of experience in home improvements and the author of Contracting with the King. Join us this hour for our segment Invent America with your co-host, the Inventor Lady Rita Crompton. Discover what's next in the home improvement industry and explore new products and innovations. Or if you have that next great big idea, learn what it takes to bring your invention to the world. As Michael King and Rita Crompton talk to America's inventors and innovators. Remember, the America of tomorrow is being invented today. We invite you to visit us at HomeTalkUSA.com, one of the best resources for home improvement information around today. Your best life begins with your best home, and there's no place like Home Talk. That's HomeTalkUSA.com. And now, we proudly present Invent America from the #1 home improvement radio program in the country, Home Talk USA, with your host, the Cajun contractor, Michael King, and his co-host, the Inventor Lady, Rita Crompton.
Hello, this is the Cajun contractor, Michael King, here on Invent America show, part of the Home Talk USA radio family. And I'd like to bring our co-host of the show, the Inventor Lady herself, Miss Rita Crompton. And Rita, before I get you to join in and say, hey, it's me and welcome to be back. And I know we want to mention what's happening in California. Our heart, our prayers go to all these beautiful people. And hey, America's with you. We're not going to abandon you. Now we got to get some of this regulation out the way. And that's a story for another day. But we're here for you. And let's put a big shout out to all the first responders, the sheriffs and the firemen and all the people that have to go in there and, handle days of this without a sleep, away from their family. And America loves all you. And Rita, now you can welcome to the show, Rita, my co-host, the America lady herself, Vendor Lady, Miss Rita Crompton. Hey, Rita, welcome back. Well, welcome me back.
Well, I've been back. Welcome back to you. It's nice to see you. And, we've talked about trade shows, and I know, there's a lot of consumers out there that say, oh, cool, let's go to this show and let's see what's new. Well, this is one of the professional shows where consumers are actually allowed to come and buy product right on the floor. So many of the professional shows, they won't let the attendees sell. They discourage anybody from even asking. So unless you're at one of those, local ones that is focused on the consumer, you can't do that. This one is focused on the buyers, but they allow us to sell to the consumer. So it's really, really a wonderful blend of opportunities for consumers out there. They want to come in, they want to see what's new. They might have a favorite product line they want to go and look for. A little bit of a heads up, if you're looking for new luggage, there's a whole bunch of guys out there selling luggage and they don't want to take it home with you, so you can get it at a discount. But one of the things we're talking about is, how do you work a trade show? It's one thing to go and walk around, but it's another one when you've paid to be there, and now you've got to figure out how to work it.
Well, I got to tell my audience, in our production meetings in the beginning of the week, and when we're throwing all these ideas out of what we're going to talk about, for the next week, and we're throwing all these ideas out, and we threw many ideas out, and then all of a sudden you're just sitting back and we're just trying to, okay, what we're going to talk about, because you're well over almost 100 episodes. I think you over 100 episodes now.
Yep,
and,
I am.
And you're thinking, it says, well, we're going to the trade show, we got to promote the trade show, and you basically said, well, why don't we talk about how to work a trade show? Wow, see how things happen? So yeah, let's do that. So
I get my ideas. I talk to so many inventors during the week, and they'll tell me their story, and that's where I get my inspiration. And it's like, well, guess what? You get appointed to be on the next radio show, and we're going to talk about that issue. And so I appreciate all those inventors. I say, how did you hear about me? It's like, I'm listening to you on the radio. So they get to tell me their story then, and I can get them scheduled, because we don't charge the inventors to be on. It's wonderful for them to be able to say, okay, this is what I'm doing, and this is my problem. And we help them solve the problem.
That's why this show's always broke. We don't, man, everybody else does but us. I don't know why, but Rita, so give us maybe throw some little tips out there. If somebody's listening to the show, maybe some do's and don'ts of working a trade show. some ideas.
Do not sit on a chair. We take 40 inventors to this show and they go, do we get a seat? No, you don't get a seat. We're there to work. You don't sit on a chair because you know what? Then when somebody talks to you, you're looking at their belly button instead of looking them in the eye. And it's looking them in the eye that actually counts. So that's a big no-no for me. Do not sit down. The other thing is your phone is there for a reason, not for you to play games on, not for you to check emails. It's so that I can call you and say, oh, you need to get back here because somebody wants to talk to you about your product. And so, when we walk around and people, it's like they get it. When the inventors who are going with me look around and they see people sitting at a table and looking at their phone and doing no business. There it is. And they go, you're right. Don't talk on your phone. Don't sit in a chair. You're working. And so I always give them talking points when they're there. It's like, if somebody walks by, ask these questions, and it really helps make a difference.
Well, I call it being also respectfully aggressive. You have to be aggressive at these trade shows. How many times but be respectfully
we get
aggressive.
buyers that want to they want to go through every single shelf. They want to talk to the inventors. They want to see what's there. They want it demoed for them. And so it's really wonderful because at this show, we are the only innovative section. And when they walk around, it's like, no, I'm here to see these particular types of products because I went to the website, but I want to see everything. I want to talk to everybody. And we love it when they come around and they want to talk to everybody.
And you should write down your pitch, practice your pitch, memorize your pitch, get in front of a mirror with your pitch, keep the pitch short, keep it 2 minutes, 3 minutes top, because as you know, after about 40 seconds, people lose their train of thought, and know exactly what you're going to talk about in a limited time you have to talk about, and get to this, get straight to the point.
Absolutely.
Why was it developed? Why did I develop? And this is how it's going to change your life and make your life easier. That's the 3 tips right there. That's all you have to talk about.
People, the buyers want to know, what did you invent? What problem did you solve? How did you solve it? Did you use a registered patent attorney? And can we make it at a price the consumer is going to pay? It's, 10 seconds or less for the initial conversation. If they want more information, they will ask the questions. And they're there. They're trying to get through the whole floor. They're trying to see lots of things. And so when you respect their time, they appreciate it. They don't want to know your life story at that point, maybe someday, but not right then. They really don't care at that point. They just want to know what's going on. And so we do a briefing. I call it a briefing the week before the show. So we get everybody on a Zoom call and be able to talk through, these are the things that you say, this is kind of the dress attire. This is what you're looking for. Here's how to start a conversation. So we really walk people through it.
Yeah. And a lot of them have not experienced the selling part of it, but you have to learn to do that yourself. You know what I'm saying? You're only going to do the better job if you do it yourself, and that's the end of the day,
Well, and that's why we like the inventors to go with us when they can. They can't always go. Yeah. And that's why we've got staff to be able to, do things and work the products on behalf of the inventors, especially who can't be there. And, being able to, because they know their product better than anybody else. So having them work the product makes the most sense.
And write down all your objections and all your possible questions that you're going to get asked, because you don't want to think, you don't want to stumble, you want to be assertive, you want to be positive, because you don't want that invented it, you don't want to know it, and sometimes it's hard to express it out.
I'll tell inventors, it's like stand in front of the bathroom mirror and practice these words. That's proprietary information, because they tend to want to answer some of the questions that they shouldn't be answering. I said, that is one, and I tell them, it's like, that is proprietary information. So stand there and practice it. And if they ask a question, say, I'll get back to you on that.
And don't get disappointed on their response, because a lot of times they might exhibit a negative response, but in the back of their brain, they're thinking of something else, because that's where the negotiation. So I see a lot of them, when they get negative of the response, they get withdrawn. And then, I hate to say it, boy, I know I'm going to, you have to treat everybody like they're lying to you. That's my key. They're literally lying to me.
A few years ago, we were at a show and they had a miniature Shark Tank going on. And one of the sharkers was there, and I was standing there listening, and I got so frustrated with him because he was complaining about what was on the packaging. I said, "Did you turn it over? It's right there." And he was too busy drinking coffee and schmoozing with everybody. It's like, no, because we paid to be there. No, you've got to focus. And sometimes they don't.
All right, Rita, we got to take a short break. We're going to come back with our first guests here on the Invent America show with my sidekick, the Inventor Lady herself, Rita Crompton. Y'all stay tuned and be right back. Yahee! Yahee! Welcome back, along with my co-host, the Inventor Lady herself, Rita Crompton. Don't forget, this segment of the show is sponsored by Impeccable Air, the leaders of home air ventilation. If you want to improve air quality in your home, think Impeccable Air at impeccableair.com. It has never been easier. Impeccableair.com. Rita, man, I tell you, we got a jam-packed show. Who's our first guest on the Invent America show?
Our first guest today is Scott Milne. I've known Scott for, 5-6 years now, and helped him get through his first round of, utility patent questions and issues and get him teed up. And he went to a show with us a few years back. He has got the coolest product out there as far as, warm, cuddly, fuzzy, and utilitarian. Scott, tell everybody, what is the Snoodle? And it is not what you think. You don't cook it in a pan.
Thank you, Rita. And hello, Michael. Thank you for having me. The Snoodle is the world's first app-driven bed warming body pillow. Our premise is that we would like to improve sleep and help the homeowner save on fuel, reduce their pollution load.
I think that's excellent. And, there's so many different instances. You've got a sick child, you've got a widow, so many huge swings in uses for your product. I think it's wonderful that, as you've worked on it over the years, you said, oh, we can use it here. And, oh, we can use it here. And when people see it, it's like, oh, I'd really like to use it here. So congratulations on having something that is so versatile.
Thank you. You'd be surprised to find all of the responses we get when we ask people, do you preheat your bed? And how do you go about doing that? There are a myriad of solutions that people use to try to get comfortable as they get to sleep.
I have a husband still, and that's what I use, but someday I may not. And then that's when I'm thinking, this will come in handy.
Well, you'd be surprised. Couples like to sleep at different temperatures.
Yes.
There's nothing more relaxing than slipping into a warm bed, and this product will allow you to preheat your bed.
So tell us about the process you've gone through. How long have you been working on this? Inventing isn't easy, and it's not fast.
Well, that's true. I'm an energy auditor by trade. I work in commercial buildings. And what I noticed was that they started giving rebates to people to switch their heat over to electric for nighttime. So I called my friend at the energy company and say, why? Why is this important? I understand most other rebates that reduce pollution, but why are we reducing pollution this way? And he explained it very quickly. He says, Scott, it's the wind power. And I still didn't quite understand. Well, we're all asleep at night. Businesses are closed. No one's using air conditioning, and the wind is cranking. There are no building-sized batteries to store it in. So we're throwing it away. Yes, we are. We're throwing it away. That's a shame.
Yes.
And I got off the phone and I began to think right away. I said, I understand why they're recommending heat pumps for nighttime heat, but that's a big project. That's expensive, and it's a big construction project at your home. Wouldn't it be better just to create an electric pillow that you could sleep with each night? Heck, I would make it out of fur. And I went home to try to buy one, and I found that it didn't exist. So I began to search the patents.
Let me ask the question, because I'm sure a lot of our listeners out there are saying, but what's the difference between that and an electric blanket?
Well, there are differences. An electric blanket doesn't have much settability. It's not generally app controlled. And during the middle of the night, you'll often get a little too hot under an electric blanket. You'll have to wake yourself up, literally reach over and figure out how to reset the electric blanket in the middle of the night. What I found with a heated body pillow is you just push it away without waking up. Sometimes it's on the floor, and Snoodle doesn't mind a bit. The body pillow is really versatile that way. And if we could set it with different temperature settings throughout the nighttime, it will be ideal.
Excellent. Well, the last show that you went with me to was the National Hardware Show. All right. So it was focused on hardware. This one is consumer products, so it's got a much broader reach for the different products. How do you plan to work this show and get the most out of it?
That's an excellent question. I tell this story often because when I'm working a trade show for multiple different reasons, people will often walk by your booth trying to ignore you. They're in a hurry. They've got other places to go, and you want to attract their attention. You may only have one shot. So at the hardware show, I picked up a little habit that I'll probably use again at this show. As people are walking by, my device is on its rack, warm and vibrating, and I simply look at the person without them looking at me and say, "Have you met Snoodle?" And generally, it stops them in their tracks. It attracts their attention. They've never heard that word before. I get 1 second of their attention. I pull the pillow off its rack, and I say, "Oh, you've got to hold him. You've got to hug him." And once they have my product in their arms, they often melt. I insist the person that's with them often also hold it as well. They've never held a hot pillow that's vibrating like that.
So, well, that's, I'm looking forward to, seeing the response to it and, being in a show that, really has those consumer products as opposed, the show is full of tools. So it's not that tools are not welcome, but it's got everything else because it is 3 floors and we are in the general merchandise area. So I think it'll be a really good spot for you to be able to go out and find, buyers, licensees, whatever you're looking for. And, just being able to walk around and, we've got the advantage now that if you decide you wanted to put together a demo, we've got a private room. And we've never had a private room before where we could actually go and do demos for products, have private meetings and talk to people. It's been a wonderful opportunity for us to be able to get you out there.
Well, I'm excited about that because this year we'll have a working prototype. We've designed a plushie toy for kids in the Snoodle likeness. We've designed a Snoodle dog toy. We have ideas for mattress companies, and we hope to be able to schedule meetings. We have ideas to bring in business to mattress company stores.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, Scott, thanks for being with us today. I appreciate it very, very much. And I am looking forward to having you out there with us in Las Vegas, March 9, 10, 11, and 12, so that we can show off the Snoodle and see what we can do with it. Thank you for being with us today. And right now, everyone, we are going to go and pay some bills. Stick with us because we are back with another American inventor to tell his story and share his experience.
Thank you, Rita.
this segment of Invent America, because America invents. This segment is brought to you by TrimASlab. If you need to replace rotting or missing wood, it's often found in driveways, sidewalks, decks. This product is easy to install, it's fast, it looks great, and it can be removed. If you need any replacement work on driveways or sidewalks or decks, TrimASlab is your go-to product. TrimASlab at trimaslab.com. Easy to find, folks. So our next guest is Bob Labbe. He has got a very cool product. He's manufacturing and selling product already, the ultimate coaster. And I've got to tell you a cute story here. Bob, I know that you and your daughter had asked me, what happened to the coasters I sent you. I put them in my husband's Christmas stocking because he was always complaining about the coasters, getting caught on the cup, dropping off, making a mess on his shirt. Oh yeah, hello, that's how you decided to go out and invent this. And he was like, well, it's awfully lightweight. And it's like, well, it doesn't have to be heavy if it works. And the next thing I knew, I was finding a coaster on his desk, by the kitchen table, on the coffee table. They were all over the house. So, yes, he loves the ultimate coaster, and he certainly now understands why he loves it, and he is very grateful. So thanks, Bob, and thanks for being with us today.
Tell him he's most welcome, and we hope we can get him into everybody's home in the near future.
I hope so too. So tell our listeners, why is the ultimate coaster the ultimate coaster?
Sure. Thanks, first of all, for having me on your program. I appreciate that. And, the ultimate coaster was developed simply because of a pet peeve. And it sounds like it's just like your husband's pet peeve. When you picked your drink up, the coaster would fall off onto your clothes, onto the floor, make a mess. And I was down at my daughter's house in October of 23, and we were getting ready to go out to a nice restaurant. And we were all dressed up, and I was having a cocktail, and the drink was sitting there for just a few minutes, and I picked the thing up. It's a leather coaster. It falls on my silk tie, my suit, and on the floor, and made a mess of everything. And this is not the first time this had happened. And I said to my daughter and my son-in-law and my wife, I said, I'm going to invent something to solve this problem. And that's what motivated. That was October of 23. And I set into the process. Now, understand, I'm a mechanical engineer, and I've been in the engineering business for 52 years and developed and built and sold 3 air pollution control companies. And I'm used to building big things. I never thought in the world that I'd built a little 4-inch coaster. So the pet peeve started it all.
There you go. So, you as a professional, you've been to trade shows. You're taking the coaster to the ASD Market Week this March. So tell us your experience about working different shows.
Well, I've learned a little bit in listening to your previous guests already about working and what you've said. And I think it's all applicable. What you've said is that not sitting down, not being on your computer or phone, looking people in the eye, being kinetic. Don't be sitting in a chair acting like you don't want to talk to somebody. And I saw also one of the things I've done in trade shows, I've always had a booth, had 3 or 4 salesmen with me, but I made it everybody's responsibility to walk the show and to talk to everybody in every other booth. Matter of fact, we would section off the show through A through C, B through E, and each of were responsible for talking to all those providers that were out selling their products. And it worked pretty well because not only do you get to talk about your product, you talk about their product and what they're doing and what their approach is to selling. And you learn a lot just by talking to other people.
Absolutely. And that's one of the things, we really encourage folks to do. And so when we've got a team, so we take Patty, who's our next guest, and some other people that she sets us up with out there who work trade shows professionally. There's a difference between, working a trade show professionally and aggressively, productively, as opposed to, a salesman that is just a car salesman. No, disrespect to a car salesman, but it is a different skill set. And certainly for our inventors who go, when we say, go out and walk the floor, these are the questions you ask. This is where you can find out more information. Do not, yes, you can give out your business card, but do not assume somebody's going to call you. either get their card or write down their name and their information, because 9 times out of 10, if they don't lose the card, they don't call you because they don't remember. So it really is on the inventor to gather the information and be able to take it home. And I can guarantee you get back at your room at night and you've got 25 cards in your pocket or your purse. You're not going to remember a single one. So I always tell people, it's like, right on the back of the card, why did you talk to them? Is it a good lead? Is it a bad lead? Or just somebody you want to go buy their product?
That's great. That's great information and great advice.
So it's going to be, I think, a really good show for everyone. And being able to, like I said, we've got our workers. I know that your daughter and son-in-law and one of the others team members is going to be there. So they will be able to get out and work the floor. One of the things that we have, our people who stay in the booth, we give them, we send out the link so everybody can understand everybody's product, especially the ones right next to them in our booth. So if you're out working the floor and somebody comes and start asking questions, at least the other inventors next to you and around you have got a baseline, and then they can call you on the phone, because that's why we say hang on to your phone and pay attention to those vibrations. We say somebody really wants to talk to you, you can get back here. Or if we're out on the floor, if Patty's out there and she said, oh, this is a really cool guy, they need to come and talk to him, they can call you in our booth and send you over there, or somebody who's with you and say, you need to come and talk to these folks. So it's really important to be able to make the most of what's going on the floor, and at the same time make the most of the people walking by, because you've got exhibitors you need to contact, and then you've got the attendees who are there to buy.
Yeah, I as far as my product, like you say, you can't see it because we're on radio, but my coaster is the only coaster on the planet that works. all the rest of them don't do their job, and that's the reason I invented it.
Well, it does work. It is a wonderful product. So tell our listeners, because not everybody's going to fly to Las Vegas to buy one, I am sorry, where can they go to get one now?
Well, we have our website, ultimatecoasterco.com, and there's a whole listing of products. These coasters, you can get your fraternity or sorority, any affiliation, professional affiliation, anything you want to put on here, sports teams, whatnot. You can have that logo inscribed into the bottom pan or the outside of the coaster. You can get them anywhere online, Amazon, Google. You go to all those websites, you can pick them up there. And we're starting to make some progress in getting into small stores. We haven't signed any deals yet, and of course, we're working with you to help us get to that point where we have some licensees.
So, and we are looking forward to that, getting it out there to either promotional companies that are doing, different logos, like you said, for the ball games. They make great stocking stuffers, but Easter's coming up. So if you're doing Easter baskets and you don't want to put a bunch of candy in there, Ultimate Coaster is a great piece to add. So we are going to be posting, Bob, on our site, so you can go to Invent-America Radio and see the products that are going with us to ASD Market Week, and the ones that you would like to be able to purchase, like Ultimate Coaster, will link directly to Bob's website, so you'll be able to find him that way. And we appreciate you going to our site and taking a look at everybody that's there and getting teed up for ASD Market Week. It stands for Affordable Shopping Destination. We've told them that we were going to, get them to change it to America Stands Determined, because we like that. And they've said, oh yeah, that sounds like fun, but probably not going to happen, at least not this year, but it's a work in progress. And we are always a work in progress. So America, stick with us. We have got our industry expert coming up in just a few seconds after we go and pay some bills. So America, hang in there. We are Invent America, because America invents.
Tired of struggling just for your customers to notice you? Your business needs Constant Contact. Constant Contact's award-winning marketing platform has helped millions of small businesses stand out, stay top of mind, and see big results. With powerful tools like email, SMS, social media, and events, you'll say the right thing at the right time to sell more, raise more, and fast-track growth. Plus, everything's backed by Constant Contact's expert live customer support. So get going and growing with Constant Contact today. Try it free at ConstantContact.com.
Thank you so much for being with us this afternoon. And this segment of our show, Invent America, is brought to you by Bond Products. It is a DIY carpet binding and the one and only InstaBind, bondproducts.com. And I know that link is on the HomeTalkUSA site. So if you are looking for the product, Instabind-bondproducts.com and HomeTalkUSA is where you can find all of the wonderful sponsors for Home Talk, Invent America, and Made in the USA. Our next guest is Patty Duffy. She is a trade show marketing expert. She works the shows professionally. She is amazing in what she did for us last year and will do for us this year as far as going out there and finding the right match for the different products. Patty, thank you so much for being with us. What is it specifically that makes working a trade show different than working in a car lot?
Rita, thanks for having me. And after having worked trade shows for the last 40 years, I really nailed it down to about 3 or 4 key points. And the first thing is, don't be afraid to talk to people. And I'm not saying just in the booth, but in the taxi line, the food court, the hotel lobby, or walking the aisles. You're at a trade show, you're out of town. Tell these people who you are and what you do very briefly. So what's the worst that can happen? So they yawn and walk away. Nobody died. But what if they say, oh, that sounds interesting. Tell me more. So don't be afraid to open your mouth and just say something.
You're so right. Yeah.
Yeah. And secondly, I'd say work on that brief part that I mentioned. Work on your sound bite. You only have one chance to spew out a statement or ask a question when people are walking by your booth. So make it a good one. And your previous guest, Scott, had a great one. He said, have you met Snoodle? That's a perfect example of that sound bite that you want to work on so that you can catch somebody's attention. Or, Bob just talked about my coaster is the only one on the planet that works. All you need is that first few seconds to capture somebody's attention, to get them to stop by your booth. Then you can launch into everything else that you want to talk about. And once you do get them in the booth, you want to talk about benefits, not features. My product has this and it's a pink or it's a blue color, it's got this widget. That doesn't matter to people. What matters is, what does it do to solve a problem? So if you ask a question of the person that's coming by your booth, then you'll understand what problems do they have and how will your product solve that problem. Ask questions. That's the key thing there. Rather than spewing everything out at them, you don't know whether they have an interest in that or not. But if you ask a question, then you'll understand, okay, so that's their problem. This is how my product matches with that and solves the problem. They'll understand the features once you explain why it's going to be a great product that many want. And that's the key.
Yes,
and
I always tell people, it's like, what brings you to the show? Well, my husband does this. Oh, I'd really like to meet your husband. But if it's like, oh, I'm just here with a group of friends, don't waste your time. Time is valuable and you cannot make more of it. Once the show is over, the show is over. You say, oh, I wish I would have done more. Yeah, you've got to start out at 9:00 on Sunday morning, talking to everyone that you can get, attention and eyeball attention or Snoodle attention, whichever, and be able to say, what brings you to the show? Oh, I do this. And that way, then whether you should spend your time talking to them or not. And again, then I say, it's like, what problem did you solve and how did you solve it? And that's what
exactly
they're there for.
Right. And the fact that you asked a question will weed out the chaff, so to speak, right up front. If you ask them a question, they say, well, I'm just here waiting for my friends, or, I'm here with my husband. Don't waste your time. Go on to the next person, because there are 2 or 3 people right behind them in line.
Absolutely.
You want to find something in common with your guests. So if you ask that question and they say, oh, well, I'm just here looking around, I work for a hotel chain. There's your something. Now, does your product have something in common with a hotel guest? That's when you start to ask some questions and you understand what kind of problems do they have. Or they might say something like, I'm just here looking at household stuff. Well, what's your biggest issue in your house? Well, my toilet continually leaks. Well, my product has something to do with toilets, so that's how you get into that conversation about it.
Exactly.
You really need to find out what's on their mind.
Exactly. Last year, we had a lot of times people would say something, right along, well, my biggest issue is this, or I'm looking for this kind of product. Oh, well, John over here has got one of those. Let me introduce you. So the inventors work together back and forth to be able to help each other out. And, somebody's on one side of the booth walking by, he may not get to the other side, but the product that he's really looking for is over here. So the inventors always worked very well together. And I would have inventors that would say, this has been the best 3-4 days that I could have imagined. And they make a lot of contacts.
And speaking of that, why the ASD show? Well, there are so many conferences that happen not only in Las Vegas, but all over the country. And many times people go to those trade shows because they're either looking for a job, which is a terrible thing to do, but they're focused on other things rather than products. They are networking, they're listening to keynote speeches, they're going to workshops, seminars, and so on. But ASD is focused on products. The people who go there are actually looking for a product that solves a problem. That's why I love this particular show, because people are already prone to being sold, so to speak. They're there to look for stuff, and you've got the stuff that they want. So that's why this show is so much more important than some of the other conferences out there.
Well, in the ASD Market Week for us, since we are the only innovator section, they help promote the Innovation Award. So they send out notices to get all of the attendees to come over and vote for their favorite new product. And we are very grateful for, what they do for us. And if you are out there and you know an inventor or someone who's been selling for a couple of years, but they still are having, wanting to get the product out there more, have them get in touch, have them call me, send me an email, get on LinkedIn, anything. And if you are still working through the process, you need a vetted service provider. You need to know what to do first. You need to talk to, a good registered patent attorney. Oh, for heaven's sakes, call me. I answer my phone. And we are happy to help everyone out there either get to the show or understand the process. So stick with us, everyone. We have got Made in the USA coming up in just a few seconds.